conformation is how was the organ developing into the bird. Because you can have in this example, these two birds, 1.6 kilos, everyone, 1.6. Externally, like body weight, is the same, but internally, it's totally different. You can see this bird is small and it's fat. This bird is tall, and you can see the secondary sexual organs is very good developed, and this bird has 18 weeks of age. The same body weight, but internally it's totally different. I heard about the question of the prolapse. It's one of the more important topics in Uganda, not only in Uganda, in different countries, prolapse. When we have this kind of birds at 18 weeks of age, is it the beginning to have prolapse in the future? Because when we allow the bird has excessive abdominal fat during the rearing, after introduction, this excess of fat promote prolapse presentation, promote check quality issue presentation. So if you want to avoid prolapse in the production, you need to control the body weight during the rearing, and specifically between week 12 to 18. Sometimes we give feed, because we can see that more big bird in rearing is more robust and can produce more egg numbers, but not necessarily this is the truth. For that, all the companies, in this case, Chicks company, provide to you the management guide, where you can see the body weight started every week. So please, the first recommendation for everyone, control the body weight. What is the body weight? The management guide. Is it the body weight? I can have 10% more, I can have 100, 200 grams more. The answer is no. The maximum body weight should be the maximum standard. Because in the reading, you keep more body weight. This body weight is not muscle. This body weight is fat. And excessive abdominal fat will promote prolapse and delay the onset of production, because the excessive fat is antagonist with the sexual hormones reproductive system. If with the bird at 18 weeks is overweighted, it can affect the reproductive hormone system production. So for this, onset of production is delayed. This is the other reason why we cannot get early overweight bird. This is the body weight profile. I can explain details about, and this is the weekly body weight gain that you need to consider regarding to the management guide provided for the catching chicks. For this, it's very important weight the birds. This is very critical today in every country, in every farm, in every system, production system. We need to weigh the birds weekly during the rearing, and at least in production, we need to weigh the birds weekly every week until 30 weeks of age. Because it's the only way that you can see if the body weight is growing okay or not, if you are getting overweighted birds or not. So please, we need to weigh the birds every week, and we need to analyze, and we need to check how is going the body weight. Let's talk about the reading. Why is important the first 5 weeks? This is very critical point. It's very strange because we ask it why the production is not the proper production. I'm glad to share the diet, I'm glad to share the genetic, I'm glad to share the environment. Good performance or bad performance start in the first 5 weeks. Because in these 5 weeks, we are developing digestive and immune system. For this reason, our recommendation is try to provide crop feed 2, 3, 4 weeks. It's very good. Because in this moment, the chicks need the more high feed quality as possible. It is expensive. No, it's expensive. Because we are feeding chicks, baby chicks. And these baby chicks, in the future, if the body weight is the proper body weight, you can reach early production, you can reach very good production persistency, less mortality, and if you have early production persistency, less mortality, you will have more profit, more in-house eggs. So, the first advice, how should I do to get profit in my birds? Okay, invest in the first 5 weeks. Crop feed. But you can provide crop feed, but you need to check the birds are eating the crop feed. So suggestion is during the first 2 days, the chicks check the crop feed. Take 10 chicks, 20 chicks, take, and check what is happening with the crop. Because sometimes we find only feed in the crop. So it means anything happening with water, because we need to find feed and water in the crop. Or we can check the crop and we can find only water. So only water, so it means maybe the chicks are not feeding properly. We need to check what is happening with the feed. Large particle size or very fine particle size. Or the worst scenario is without feed and water. This is the worst scenario. So please, one suggestion, the first 2 days, every 6 hours, every 10 hours, check what is happening with the crop feed. 10 chicks, 20 chicks. Not necessarily a lot of chicks. Guys, please, this is a good strategy. Majority, I know, you place the chicks on floor, try to put paper on floor, and put feed, spray feed in the floor. This is very good because the chicks, on arrival, immediately they can reach feed. Because in the first 7 days, we need the chicks feed and water. Feed, drink, feed, drink, feed, drink, and resting for sure. So we need to provide feed in everywhere. And the best way is complement the feeders using the paper on floor. It's very good practice. And use the chick box. You can see here, I don't know if this video is improving or not. This is a house. A majority of the chicks is in the chick box. And another feeder is almost empty. So if you provide or you have chick box, you can use it not, but you can take additional feed, baby feeds. And make sure about the water intake. The chicks need to see the drop water. Identify where is the drop to drink it easily. So it's very important to low the pressure, the water, and facilitate the chicks can drink water properly. Okay. This is another question. Usually the people ask, what is the proper temperature during the brooding? Okay, I know. Management guide says some range between 60, 62, 63, 63, 66. But the best temperature is when you can see the chick comfort. When you see the chicks properly distributed on the floor, this is the proper temperature. Because sometimes it can be 32, and in another houses can be 36 degrees Celsius. In another can be 34. It depends the design, it depends the heaters, it depends the ventilation. So the proper temperature is when you can see the chick comfort. What happens if we don't reach the proper body weight at 5 weeks of age? We will have shorter intestinal tract, reducing nutrition absorption, and we will have grown more susceptible to disease challenges. For this, it's very important to pay attention in the first 5 weeks. What is the target? The body weight. It's simple. It's easy. The target, the body weight at 7 days, is 2 times the chick's weight at pregnancy. The chick weight at pregnancy is 35 grams. Body weight for 7 days, 70 grams. Very easy. It's 64 grams. The target, 68 grams. And what should be the body weight target at 5 weeks? Simple again, 10 times. If the body weight at layman's, the chicks, is 65 grams, the body weight 5 weeks of age should be 350. If the body weight first day 62 grams, the body weight 5 weeks 320 grams. It's easy, but it's very important. It depends. It's the first step to get a more proper profitability. The second point is about the skeleton development, especially cortical bone between 6 to 11 weeks, because the skeleton depends about the chick quality. So, one question. Usually people, farmers asking to us, what is the best strategy to protect chick quality? If you want to get the best strategy, you need to start with the proper body weight between 6 to 11 weeks. Because if you can promote large skeleton, in this skeleton can accumulate the calcium reserves. And then this calcium reserve will be used for the layer to produce the best chick quality as possible. If you produce a small bird, the skeleton is small, the calcium reserve is small, and you will have issues with chick quality and issues with production. So not too much to what we need to do after 6 weeks of age. Pay attention. Our focus is to promote the best gizzard size as possible. Sometimes we have progress on the onset of production because the feed intake will increase very fast. But the layers need to start the production. But feed intake 80 grams, 85, 80, 90 grams. What happened? The gizzard size is very small. You can try to provide 100 grams, 105. But the chicks, the layers cannot sell 100 grams because the gizzard is very small. So we need to work after 5 weeks of age to properly develop the gizzard size. The gizzard is a muscle, and the muscle you need to do exercise to the muscle every time more and more big, right? So the first point is you need to keep like feed particle size, the same particle size like layer stage. In this large particle size, we cannot provide a small particle size, fine particle size, because if you provide fine feed particle size for the chicks, we cannot promote it proper gizzard size in Europe. This is very, very important. Because when we visit the farm, we see very fine particle size. And then at the moment, we cannot see the consequence. The consequence is after 18 weeks of age. So please, what should be, this is maybe the particle size that we want to see after 6 weeks of age. Why this kind of particle size? Because it improves the feeding day, better gizzard development, so improve digestion, higher digestion, more uniform body weight, better flow deformity, and good gizzard function that improve calcium absorption. Why we need to avoid fine particle size like that? Because fine particle size decrease the feeding intake, increase that level in the facility, poor gizzard development, weaker digestion and nutrient absorption, lower digestibility, and affect the meal conversion, and inconsistent intake affect the persistent and share quality during the event. So you can see the difference. This gizzard and another gizzard. But also we need to avoid very, very high particle size. Many core in particle size. Because if we provide this kind of feed, let's see, what is the consequence? Birds selectively eating large particle size that is uneven nutrient intake, increase the risk of feed separation, segregation during the transport, lower protein and mineral intake, and uneven body weight and affect the uniformity, promoting a dominant and dominating bird. One of the main issues during the 6 to 11 weeks is the injection, the kill vaccines. So one recommendation to avoid affect the bird after the kill vaccine. The first recommendation, maintain optimal temperature during the vaccination. Talking about the kill vaccine. Keep the vaccine at warm temperature 50 degrees Celsius during the vaccination process to ensure consistency. To reduce the stress, guys, you can use antipyretic, analgesic, anti-inflammatory products one day before, during the day, and for 2 days after the vaccination. You can provide this to reduce the effect, the stress for the kill vaccine, and you can support the feeding day implementing only for 4 or 5 days in the feeding process. Okay, let's move in. I would like to talk about the calcium particle size, because it's a factor as well to produce very good share quality. For pre-lay, if you use pre-lay diet, it means live stimulation and 2 weeks, maximum 2 weeks after. We need to use 50% 5 and 50% 4. So here the question is, why the birds need fine calcium and why the birds need coarse calcium? Fine calcium, the birds getting the fine calcium to metabolic process internally and support medullary bone reserves. This is the 100% solubility. But the birds need to use coarse calcium for gizzard retention, the coarse in the gizzard, for dissolve slowly only when the HL formation is happening, and solubility is about 55-58%. Let's see this example. If you open, you do the necropsy, 5 p.m. This is the egg formation at 5 p.m. But what happened? when we open the KISA at 5 p.m., the majority of the content